Hi, Barbie!
Hi, Ken!
We're in a race. And I know what it means. I thought I might stay over tonight.
Why?
Because we're girlfriend, boyfriend.
To do what?
I'm actually not sure. We've got one hope.
You guys ever think about dying?
Why would we go to the middle of nowhere for who knows how long?
Why? Why? How about because this is the most important thing to ever happen in the history of the world? Are we saying there's a chance that when we push that button, we destroy the world?
Chances are near zero.
Near zero.
What do you want from theory alone?
Zero would be nice.
What do I have to do? You have to go to the real world.
I'm coming with you.
Okay.
This is a matter of life and death. I can perform this miracle.
This is the real world.
The world will remember this day.
Also staring at me.
Barbie in the real world. That's impossible.
By the man who gave them the power to destroy themselves. And the world is not prepared.
Okay, ladies, let's do this.
Get that Barbie! Truman needs to know what's next.
What's next?
Oh yes, we're pulling out all the stops for this one. Welcome to another edition of Talking About the Movies, and today, of course, as we always do, we talk about the biggest new releases of the weekend. And needless to say, I don't think there's any bigger new releases this weekend, or honestly, so far this year, than these two that we're going to talk about today. We have a rare double feature here, and it's rare for a number of reasons. One, it's two movies that are highly anticipated, two movies I've been looking forward to seeing. And two, these two movies not only had so much to live up to, they lived up to them and then some. And you can see why everybody is going crazy over the Barbenheimer phenomenon, or as I call it here, Barbie versus Oppenheimer, because that's just kind of more fun that way. At least in my opinion, it is. But we are talking about Barbie. We are talking about Oppenheimer. We are going to be talking about these two movies today. I saw them both yesterday, and it was a packed theater. It was a packed theater. It's probably the most packed I've seen in a long, long time. This was my first double feature that I've gone to in a movie theater since November 2021, and that was when Ghostbusters Afterlife and Kanto came out around the same time. I went to see both of those movies on the same day. And this used to be something I used to do for a long, long time. I used to go to double features all the time when I went down to the old Carmike Theater that was down the street from where I am. And that used to be something I used to do every Sunday. And then I switched over to the Cinemark. I've been doing that, and then I started doing the double features there. And then ever since the pandemic, there just hasn't been as many double feature days as there used to be for me to go see. I mean, I usually go see at least one movie per week now, and that's mostly because of what's been coming out. But this weekend, I had to make an exception. I had to go back to doing it because of this. And these are two big movies that everybody's going to be talking about, so I might as well talk about them as well. And I just want to tell you right now, this is going to probably be a long, long video because we have two movies to get into. We're going to be delving a lot into both of these movies, so strap yourself in, go get something to drink, go grab some popcorn, go do whatever you want to, but prepare yourself because we're going to be here for a while talking about these two films. And, you know, what better way to start off with this than the first movie that I saw on the day, and that was, of course, Barbie. Now, as per usual with an intellectual property or franchise like Barbie, it's important for me to go back and take a look at some of the other movies or TV shows that have come from this franchise, and I've never seen any single one of them, because really I never had any real interest to watch any of the direct-to-video Barbie movies or any of the TV shows. I mean, my sister and I watched them when we were really, really little, but I've barely gone back to remember them. Like, I remember, the one I do remember the most was there was a Barbie exercise video in the 1980s that she used to watch all the time, but other than that, though, I've not seen any of these direct-to-video movies just because they just didn't really appeal to me. I wasn't really that looking forward to this movie to begin with when they were developing it, because this thing goes all the way back to the development process. This goes all the way back to 2009, when Universal Pictures were going to develop a live-action movie, and then Sony eventually garnered the film rights about 5 years later. There were multiple writers and directors that came in. Amy Schumer was going to play Barbie at one point, and then later Anne Hathaway. And then Warner Brothers finally went ahead and made the film with Margot Robbie in the title role, and Greta Gerwig, who had just come off of directing Little Women in 2019, and then Noah Baumbach, who's been a prolific writer and director for several years. And really, I wasn't really looking forward to a whole lot about this movie up until that trailer came out in front of Avatar: The Way of Water, which is basically what the film opens up with. It's a 2001 A Space Odyssey parody where you have these little girls playing with these baby dolls, and then all of a sudden this gigantic Barbie played by Margot Robbie comes up like the pillar from 2001 A Space Odyssey. And once they see that, they destroy the dolls and all that. That's basically how the movie opens up. That's literally the first scene of the movie. And the premise of the movie, basically, you see it in the trailer. You have Margot Robbie as a Barbie. In this case, she's stereotypical Barbie. That's literally the name they give her in this. And she lives in a world of other Barbies and also Kens. Like, you have like Ryan Gosling plays Beach Ken. And everything's going about their day. It's another exciting day in Barbie world. And then all of a sudden, during a big party that they have, Margot Robbie is a stereotypical Barbie, basically out of nowhere just says, "You guys ever think about dying?" And that just shuts everything down. And then slowly but surely, she starts to realize that something is off here. And you follow, things start to change around Barbie world. She's basically going through an existential crisis, and with the advice of this weird Barbie played by Kate McKinnon, very well by Kate McKinnon, by the way, she basically has to go to the real world to figure out what the hell's going on. And so Ken goes with her, and you think you know where it's going to go from there. I mean, you've seen the trailers for it, and everyone, including myself, thought they had a good idea of where the movie was going to go from that point on. But I gotta say, man, the direction that they took this movie towards, with some of the characters in here, I did not expect them to do, and in a way, I kind of admire them for keeping that stuff away from the marketing for this movie, because it did lead to a lot of really great elements to the film itself. Now, when I first saw the trailers for this movie, I got so many different vibes from watching this trailer. I mean, I was really looking forward to it on a number of different reasons. I mean, when I saw the trailers for this, because most people had similarities to stuff like Popeye and Dick Tracy in terms of the visuals, and I can definitely see that. This is a very visually ambitious film that shows a lot of its production budget in the set designs. I mean, this is incredible looking stuff. But when I saw it too, I got not only those elements, but also a little bit of a mix of Grease, a little bit of a mix of Heathers, a little bit of the Lego Movie, which I thought they were going to do in some areas, a little bit of Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, and also my personal favorite, the Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello 80s comedy Back to the Beach. I mean, if you have not seen Back to the Beach, go see Back to the Beach. It's a really funny movie that's a parody of the old beach movies that those two did. It's a fantastic film, and it feels like they brought all those elements and rolled them into one for this film, and I was all in on that point. I mean, it's just like, okay, I'm ready to have the time of my life with this movie. Bring it on. And I mean, the movie basically goes at first what you think the trailer is basically telling you. Barbie and Ken have to go to the real world to figure out what the heck's going on. You see all the different characters in the real world. Will Ferrell as the CEO of Mattel, and America Ferrera as this girl that this woman is going to help in this plays a big part in this storyline. And it happens in that case, and you think that Will Ferrell may be playing an antagonist, kind of, maybe sort of similar to what his character was in the Lego Movie. I swear I thought they were going to bring in the Lego Movie elements to the storyline. I thought they were going to find a way to connect him to that character. But he's not really a bad guy. He's just a guy that just wants the balance restored. Like, he wants Barbie to go back in the box so that the world can be restored to the way it was before, to the way it is before something chaotic happens, which it does happen in here. But he's not really a bad guy in the film, and I actually thought he was really, really funny. I've heard a lot of people criticize his performance in this, like he's not funny anymore. I don't know. I thought there were elements in here where he was still kind of funny. I mean, this is certainly not the worst movie he's ever been in. I mean, try watching stuff like Holmes and Watson in the House. Like, those are movies that are completely devoid of his true talents in this film. And, like, the point where it changes over, like, the point where I did not see it coming whatsoever, that I thought was extremely hilarious, was the way that Ken basically just, while Barbie is trying to figure out what's going on, trying to find the owner of the owner of this doll that she's, because everybody in the Barbie world has owners in the real world, and they have all these different situations, and Barbie thinks that this teenage girl is basically the reason why she's having all these things happening to her, but she realizes that her mother is actually the one who's causing the existential crisis, and while that's going on, Ken is being fascinated by all the patriarchy system. Like as soon as he walks away from Barbie, he sees all these big muscular guys coming out of the gym, talking about, hey bro, all that type of stuff. He sees all the trucks, all the, America and all that type of stuff, and he basically gets the inspiration to say, you know what, we need to change some rules around Barbie land. And I just love the fact that they basically kind of turned Ken to sort of this Andrew Tate, Ben Shapiro, toxic masculinity type of person. And I did not think that was the direction they were going to go with, and I thought that was extremely hilarious. I mean, Ryan Gosling really is one of the bright spots of this movie. He really is as funny. He really gives his all to this performance. He's really funny. He's a ton of fun in this movie, man. And I've heard people say that possibly he should be considered for Oscar consideration, which I won't go that far, but I will say that the dude puts his all into this movie, not just in that, but also the musical numbers here. I'll get to those in just a second. But with that said, Margot Robbie, I thought, worked in the role of stereotypical Barbie very well. I thought she was very committed to the role. She does get those moments of grief where she has to where there has to be an emotional moment. There's a great moment where she's sitting on a bench, which I found out while doing some research here that Warner Brothers was actually going to cut that, but they kept it in there, and I'm glad they did, because there's a great scene where Barbie is just sitting down. She closes her eyes. She's just thinking about where to find this girl, and they show memories. They show these little memories of her, of this little girl playing with her Barbies, and then after she's done with that, she sees all these other people around the park talking. Like, some people are having a good conversation, some people are getting divorced, some people are in a bitter mood, and like, you see the situations here, and you see Barbie start to cry as soon as she opens her eyes again, and then she turns to the corner and sees this old lady sitting there, and she, out of nowhere, she basically just tells her, you look beautiful today. And the old lady's just like, basically she says, well, I always knew that. And it's just like, it's a fun little scene. And there's a lot of good moments like that throughout the course of the movie. And it's in fact, that element kind of plays into the overall resolution to the film, which I'll get to in just a second. But yeah, I thought the movie overall was really, really damn good. I think all the performances in here work incredibly well. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling fit these characters very well. You like all these other characters a lot. America Ferrera is very good, playing the person who's at the centerpiece of this existential crisis. And I do like that the mother-daughter relationship between her and her daughter didn't go the cliched route. There wasn't a big third act breakup or a liar reveal situation that they could have easily been put into place there, but they didn't do that, and I was glad that they didn't do that. And America Ferrera really is giving she gives Barbie the encouragement to basically stand up against this new system that's coming in there, and the speech that she gives to her and eventually gives to the other Barbies, because all these other Barbies have essentially been brainwashed to become these submissive roles, like maids, housewives, girlfriends that only say yes to, like when Ken gets back to Barbie land. And so basically, Gloria has to basically inspire Barbie with a speech about the problems of being a woman, because, like, I like that the movie straight up just basically tells you that as much as we want to say that Barbie changed the way people look at women forever, like Gloria basically has to come out and say that that's not all true, and that yeah, like she gives this great speech and all, and it actually works to stop all the Barbies from being brainwashed, and it's a really good speech. It's a really well done speech, and the resolution that they come to Barbie and Ken when they have to the Gosling and Robbie when they have to come together and acknowledge their failings. It's a really good scene. It's a really good, effective way. The whole purpose of the movie ends up being about compromise and trying to accept things as how they are, and how you can change how you can change things without doing a complete 180 change, like a complete 360 change. And I know I'm just kind of blabbering on about trying to get the message, trying to get what I'm trying to say on here, but I did like that it didn't get too preachy. It didn't get too preachy, at least to me it didn't. I think most people can look at this and say that they were definitely on the right note here of what they're trying to say here, and I think they did a very good job of handling that. The rest of the performances are really good. Like I said, I really like Kate McKinnon playing weird Barbie. Issa Rae plays the president Barbie, which she doesn't really get a whole lot to do here, but she has some good moments in here. Simu Liu from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is very good in here as well. Michael Cera playing Alan is pretty funny too. Like, it's amazing how Michael Cera had this, in 20 years, ever since he broke out on Arrested Development, that dude does not look like he's aged at all. And him playing Alan in the movie, he doesn't really have a whole lot to do, but when he's on screen, he's absolutely hilarious. Like, he's one of the funny. Like, he had a lot of really good moments in the film. I'm trying to think of what else I want to say here. Will Ferrell, I thought was very good as the CEO of Mattel. I do like how the Mattel guys, I do like how they try to look evil and all that, but they're just as confused of what's going on as some of the people are when they don't really know why this is all happening and all that. And I do like how the movie basically doesn't explain at all why is how these characters are able to go from our world from Barbie world to the real world. Like, you see it, they show you everything that happens, and then when they get to the last thing, it's just cardboard, and then all of a sudden they're on Venice Beach. Like, there's no explanation for how they're all able to get here, and and I like that they didn't explain that. I like that they actually didn't do that. It's just like, it's part of the weirdness of the film, and there's a lot of weirdness in the movie, and I mean, but going back to the performances, Helen Mirren once again I think is very good here, playing the narrator of the film. Like, she can be, a strong voice of the film, but the movie's not afraid to also be kind of bitter too. Like, Helen Mirren is not afraid to get over the top in some of these roles and be kind of a little bit twisted in some of the narration she gives. But the performance, I think, that doesn't get a whole lot of attention in this movie that I've seen so far is Rhea Perlman as Ruth Handler, as basically kind of the ghost of Ruth Handler. You see her early on in the movie. Like, there's a part where Barbie's trying to get away from the Mattel heads, and she goes into this room and she sees this woman there. And you see in this old school kitchen, and she's just sitting there having some tea with her, and there's not really a whole lot of dialogue there, but it's enough but you can still feel a lot of the connection between her and Barbie, and it works really well here. And you find out later on when Ruth Handler comes out at the end, and it explains that Barbie's story has no set ending, and her evolving history surpasses that of her roots, and Barbie basically decides at the end to go human and return to the real world. And we find out that Barbie was basically the inspiration of of Ruth Handler's daughter, who's also named Barbara, or short for Barbie, and that's how the film ends here. And it's, again, a really good scene between Rhea Perlman and Margot Robbie, where they're just sitting in this room, this white room, purgatory, and she's holding her hands, and they're just thinking about how much Barbie has inspired a lot of girls. And also you see these these pictures and videos of these different girls here, and it's a very well done scene. Like, moments like that really push this movie to another level. Like, in terms of being, the emotions are definitely there, and they do feel earned. These softer, quieter moments really work to the film's advantage. The comedy overall, I thought, was pretty well done, too. There are a lot of good, funny moments in here. Like I said, the production design of the film looks fantastic. The costume work is well done here. I mean, I feel like this movie's going to win some Oscars just on those fronts. Production design, costumes. and Greta Gerwig, I think, does a very good job of handling this. For somebody who's tackling a massive project like this is a $145 million movie, and you're giving it to this person who hasn't had that big of a budget before. She's made a lot of great films. I mean, as a director, she directed, of course, Little Women. She also did Lady Bird, Nights and Weekends, and I think Chris Stuckman said it best when he did his review that all these movies seem really different, and so they don't feel like the same movie. And the fact that she took this movie for her first big project and made it work as well as it does here, like, she's got potential to become the next great director, honestly. If she just doesn't have to fall into the same footsteps that someone like Ava DuVernay ended up falling into, who made a great first movie with Selma and then followed that up with A Wrinkle in Time, which was just a huge mess on so many levels. And her career kind of faded off a little bit. It's slowly but surely coming back, but it kind of killed her star power a little bit. Or someone like Olivia Wilde, who made a great film a couple years ago with Booksmart, and then followed it up with Don't Worry Darling, where the negative word of mouth behind the scenes ended up killing the film overall, which you could make the argument this is a better this is what Don't Worry Darling was supposed to be like. Like, this is supposed to be what that movie was like, and instead you got a real disappointing film out of that film, Don't Worry Darling. But Greta Gerwig so far has been near perfect so far. I'm really excited to see what she does next. I know her next movie is going to be The Chronicles of Narnia, and I'm kind of tempted to see what they'll do with that film, and it's going to be very interesting to see what they do there. But this is also a musical too, and a pretty good musical too. Like, the soundtrack for this movie is very good here. I love some musicals, man. I'm like that guy on American Dad. I'm not gay.
I just like musicals.
But we've had some really good musicals as of late. Not just the Disney ones like Encanto, Moana, Frozen, but stuff like West Side Story, In the Heights, Tick Tick Boom, Vivo. There's a good musical renaissance going on right now, and the musical performances are really good here. The style of this movie in those numbers is really impressive. Like, Ken gets not one but two songs in the third act within the last 20-30 minutes of the movie, and they're back to back, and they're both really, really good. Like, they're really good song numbers, including this, especially the second one, where you could see the Grease inspiration in that scene, just the way it's set up, the way everybody's dressed. Like, it's just a really good, fun experience. Like, this is a really good, fun movie. Like, I had a really good time watching this, and I don't think I'd ever say that about a Barbie movie, but the talent that they have on board here, everybody is the people that are working on this film. I mean, they got the right amount of they got the right people to make this film, and to make it a full-on crowd pleaser. I know it's not going to appeal to everybody, but a lot of people, but a good maybe 85 to 90% of people will really get something out of this movie. Like they'll get a lot of good enjoyment out of the film just because of the way it looks, the way the comedy is, the way the performances are, the way the music is set up. There's a lot here to admire about this film. This is one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I really love this movie so much, and I really recommend checking it out. It's definitely something that you need to see. If you love movies like Popeye, if you love movies like Dick Tracy, like I mentioned before, Grease, Heathers, Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, these over-the-top, crazy, fun comedies that know they're not really meant to be taken too seriously, except when they need to be. Like, you'll definitely find a lot to get out of this movie. I really found myself enjoying this movie a whole lot. I really recommend it. I want to try to go see this on the big screen again. It's going to be a couple weeks with some movies that I'm going to have to check out first, but hopefully this will stick around for a long, long time, which I think it will, because the movies overall coming up, there should be enough there to keep. There shouldn't be too much there to push this out too quickly. And I think this movie's a big enough hit that it'll stick around for a little bit here. I think this is going to have some good word of mouth over the next couple of weeks and months. And I really love this movie, man. This is like I said, it's one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I can't recommend it enough. I give this movie a big thumbs up. Definitely check this movie out, even if you're not a big book. Just like the trailer say, if you love Barbie, you're going to love this movie. If you hate Barbie, you're more than likely going to love this movie too. Which I should also mention, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. I love how Mattel basically just let themselves let this movie make fun of themselves. I mean, they made fun of themselves in this movie, like the way the Mattel company is put together. Like, you see like this dark room with these square cubicles all over the place. Like like it's sort of like a dungeon in a way. And then there's one point where they have this like fake commercial that looks like something you would totally see in a regular Barbie commercial. And it's just like the most depressing thing ever. And it actually it was one of the funnier moments in the film. That was one of those moments that really stood out to me as one of the funnier moments of the film, I should say. But yeah, man, like I said, this is a really good, fun movie. I can't recommend this one enough. Like I said, big thumbs up. I really do love this film. I really want to go see it again in the theater. We'll wait to see what happens there, but yeah, I give this movie a high recommendation, a big thumbs up. And this will hopefully be in my top 10 is when we get to the end of the year. We still have a long way to go, and certain other movies are going to have to play a big part in this. And case in point, let's go ahead and move into our next film, which is Oppenheimer. Which, before I get into Oppenheimer, I have a story to tell you about what happened in between getting out of Barbie and going into Oppenheimer. Now, if you saw my Movie Stop episode yesterday, you know that I went to a 12:20 showing of Barbie, and then I bought a ticket for the 2:30 showing of Oppenheimer. Now, I did this knowing the fact that I was probably going to miss some pre-show content. I was going to miss some trailers, but, you know, after watching the pre-show content they had for Barbie, the commercials for that they had before the trailers came on were terrible. That Google one, where you have this obnoxious girl who's, like it's a commercial promoting Barbie, but the way this girl acts, the way that she acts, like everything's coming up Millhouse for her, like everything is going her way, and people are just annoyed by her. Like, it got cringy real quickly. I did not like that commercial at all. And, you know, after seeing that, and I was basically just like, you know, if I miss any pre-show content after what I just had to sit through with that, it's not going to bother me too much. So as soon as the credits came out on Barbie, I walked out. I think I was the first person that walked out of the theater. I think I guarantee you some people probably looked at me and thought, boy, he must have hated it if he's walking out right now. It's just like, no, I just had to get to another movie. So I'm walking out. I leave the theater because my theater was on the left side of the building from where I was coming out of, and the next theater I had to go to, the XD theater, was on the right side of the theater. So I'm walking out. I'm thinking at first maybe I should go get my concessions, because I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do for concessions, because, you know, the thing I used to do with the double features is that you used to get free refills on drinks and popcorn, but after the pandemic, they kind of stopped doing that, and I don't think they're ever bringing that back. But so I took a quick look at the line, saw it was near halfway within, like it stopped right across from where the ticket stands are, which is like at the far end of the front there. So I thought, I'm gonna wait till a little bit. I'm gonna go. Plus, I wanted to get there to make sure nobody was taking my seat. I'll talk about the reserved seating thing in just a second. But so I walk over there. I get over there. I accidentally go to the wrong side of the theater at first, and then I finally get to my seat, sit down, sit in the movie theater for about 20, 30 minutes. I think I sat down for the first 10 minutes of the actual movie, and I thought, you know what? I think most people are coming in right now, so I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna go down to the concession stand, grab something to drink, because I thought about I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do there, so I just got a drink. I got a large Barks root beer and then a big bottle of Dasani water, so I had something to at least quench my thirst during the movie, because I was gonna be there for 3 hours. So I get back inside. I'm climbing up the steps, and I look up, and then there's this dude sitting in my seat. Like, this guy was wearing like a button shirt and a red tie, and he was like texting on his phone. And as soon as I got up there, the guy was just like, "Oh, were you sitting here?" It's just like, dude, I was sitting there for 20 minutes. How did you not see that I was there? So the dude got up, and then instead of going back to the seat that he was sitting in, he's standing behind me. Like, he's standing behind me, still texting on his phone and looking at the screen. I'm not looking at him all the way through, because I'm trying to pay attention to the movie, and I'm just kind of like, what are you doing, dude? Like, am I getting the feel around version of Oppenheimer? Like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch Kentucky Fried Movie and you'll see what I'm talking about. But so yeah, this guy stands behind me for 10 minutes, and I thought at first maybe he's working. Maybe he's somebody who works for the movie theater. Maybe he's somebody who's watching because he's probably looking at some, to quote Scott Van Pelt, rapscallions up in the top who are causing a stir. So maybe that's what I thought at first. But no, this dude was standing there for 10 minutes, and then after about 10 minutes, he got back from behind there, and he went back to his seat in the middle of the top there. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what are you doing, dude? You could just go down the steps and go into that big hallway in between the theater and the doors to get in there, because you can still do that up there, but down there. But now I decided to do it there, and I got scared to get up and go to the bathroom for a little bit there, because I saw that and I thought to myself, like, if I get up again, he's going to do it again. So eventually I couldn't take it, so I eventually did go to the bathroom after about maybe 2 hours in, and then is when I did. No problems that time, but that was just so weird. And it gets even weirder than that, because around the 2-hour mark, I'm looking at the screen. I'm also kind of just taking a brief glance down at the seats below. There's like maybe 5 or... Actually, let me see for 1 second. In the Cinemark theater, this XD theater, there's like 5 rows of people on the bottom that are not in the stadium seating. They're just sitting right on the ground. And I'm looking down there, and I'm seeing this guy get up, and I'm looking closely, and I'm just like, well, that dude's shirt is really, really skinny, and that is not that thick. And slowly but surely, I start to realize this dude came in here without his shirt on. Like, this dude is walking around the theater with his shirt off, and like nobody is saying anything about it. Like, I swear on my life, everything I'm telling you is 100% true. I was just thinking to myself, what is going on in this theater? Like, I thought if anything weird was going to happen, it was probably going to be in Barbie, but no. Oppenheimer is apparently the theater where all the crazies come out, and I told some people about it on social media, and you got people like somebody commented that it was Muscleman from Regular Show, which would have made more sense if it was him, but and then the comment basically said it was Frank and Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia who would have probably done this, but no, again, that would have made too much sense, but it was just so weird. It's just like I just didn't get it. And I don't usually have a lot of weird things happen at this theater, or things that just don't make any sense. Like, the only other time that's ever happened was about 6-7 years ago when The Legend of Tarzan came out. I saw that in an XD theater, and so a family took the seat that I was going to sit in, and so I just moved over to the other side of the theater where there was an empty seat that wasn't reserved. And so I'm watching the movie, and then I turn a corner, and they're all staring at me from the opposite side of the theater, like I did something wrong. Like, no, you're the one that sat in my seat that was reserved for me. That's why I'm not a big fan of the reserved seating thing, because it helps you get seats, save seats without having to be like that. Having to be like in the old days, where you have people coming up, oh, is this seat taken? Is this seat taken? Which, by the way, someone actually did that to me at this screening for Oppenheimer, and I said, yeah, someone's sitting there, because so I don't like to admit that I do this, but I usually buy more than one ticket so I have nobody sitting next to me, because I really don't want to have people sit next to me while I'm watching a movie. I don't want people to be giving me... I want enough space where I can just sit there, don't have to worry about anybody sitting next to me and causing a problem. Like, I buy more than one ticket for several of these movies, and I know it's a waste of money. I admit that it's a waste of money, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Like, I don't like being around people too much. I'm like that cat from the Tex Avery cartoon, the cat that hated people. I connect more with that cat in that cartoon more than ever when it comes to stuff like that, and also work and all that type of stuff. Like, I just can't stand people sometimes, and like, it's not that I don't want to be around people. It's just that a lot of people around here just get... You never know. Some of them get so crazy for no reason whatsoever, and like so weird on so many levels. Case in point, what happened in this movie, and it's just like, that's why I do it. I admit that it's a waste of money. I admit that I probably should not be doing this, but you know what? I just need to feel that a little bit of a protection there. So So anyway, that's the fun little thing that happened while is in between Barbie and Oppenheimer. Now let's actually go ahead and sit around and talk about Oppenheimer. Sit around and talk about Oppenheimer. I don't know what I meant by that, but let's talk about Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer, this is of course basically the biography of J. Robert Oppenheimer, a theoretical physicist who was pivotal in developing the first nuclear weapons as part of the Manhattan Project, and thereby ushering in the atomic age. His ideas were basically used to help end World War II. And you have Cillian Murphy, who's been a prolific actor for several years, has not really been given a chance to really blossom as a leading star. He's had a couple movies where he's had that opportunity, stuff like Breakfast on Pluto and Red Eye, but as far as I know, this is his first real film where he's the centerpiece of the film. Like, he's the main star of the movie. So and this has a really strong cast overall here. Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt plays his wife. Matt Damon's in the film playing the handler that he works with. Robert Downey Jr. is the senior member of the United States Atomic Energy Commission. You have Florence Pugh, Josh Hartnett, Casey Affleck, Rami Malek, Kenneth Branagh. I have the list right here, so let's just tell you right here. Benny Safdie, Jason Clarke, Tom Conti as Albert Einstein. I didn't know that was him. David Dastmalchian, like you've seen him in The Dark Knight, you've seen him in the Ant-Man movies. James Darcy, Dane DeHaan, Alden Ehrenreich, one of my favorite underrated actors. Tony Goldwyn, David Krumholtz, Matthew Modine, Josh Peck, Olivia Thirlby, Alex Wolff, Scott Grimes. Let's see here. Other notable names in here. James Remare, just James Urbaniak. Just a really strong cast for this movie. And the movie, you think the movie is basically going to be about how we created the bomb that ended World War II. The bomb that eventually landed on Hiroshima to end the war. And it does do that. Like, the movie does eventually build up to that moment where they're testing the bomb out. But there's also another side element to the storyline here. We're following the storyline of Oppenheimer getting his security clearances renewed, even after what happened, even though he's become a vocal voice against the atomic bomb after it's been used to stop the World War II. We get that storyline. We also get another storyline where Robert Downey Jr.'s character is up for... what was he up for? He was up for... Let's see. I'm trying to remember here. I'm trying to remember what actually happens in the film. He's trying to get into the Senate, and it looks like throughout the course of the movie he's going to get in there, and then something happens at the end of the movie, which I won't really delve into, but basically it does not go well for him. I think everybody in this movie suffers something, and they gain a lot, but they end up suffering big time in the end. And of course, Christopher Nolan. What more do you have to say about this dude? This guy is one of the best directors we have out there. But he's never made a straight-up terrible movie. He's made some movies that weren't great. Like, Memento was a great film. Insomnia was a great film. The Batman movies are great films. Inception's a great film. Dunkirk is a great film. I really like Tenet a whole lot. Interstellar is probably, at least to me, his worst movie, but it's not because the movie overall is downright terrible. It's the last third of the film that really took it down for me, because it basically just rips off Contact. The end of Contact. Like, if you don't want to know what I'm talking about, Mr. Garrison from South Park pretty much tells you exactly what it is. It's like waiting for the entire movie to see the alien that was a goddamn father. I mean, it was pretty much just that. But this movie may be Christopher Nolan's magnum opus, and that says a lot for him, considering what he's done in the over 20 years we've known his existence. And this really is his magnum opus. This is one of the best movies of the year. It's right up there with Creed 3 and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse as one of my favorite movies of the year so far. It's a really fantastic film. Everything about this movie, is a good majority of this, is 97, about 95% of this movie works really well. The writing is top-notch. The direction is incredible. The visual look of the film is amazing. This is Hoyt van Hoytema, who's once again doing the cinematography for this, and he does a fantastic job with this. The visuals in this movie are amazing to look at. The build-up to when they actually get to the bomb is really well done. It's a really great, long, executed scene. Like, the cast in this movie is top-notch. There are characters in this movie that don't even have a whole lot of dialogue in here, but you get invested in what they're doing. Like Josh Peck, you see him in the movie. He shows up in the backgrounds a little bit. He has like 2 lines in the third act alone. Not even the third act, I should say, but when they actually get to test the bomb, and he still leaves a lasting impact on you. Like he's not doing a whole lot in this movie whatsoever, but at the same time, he is doing a lot there that contributes to the quality of the film. And I like that the film isn't just the testing of the bomb and then that's how the movie ends. Like it's like they built up to the bomb, they test the bomb, it works, then they use the bomb to bomb Hiroshima, and you think, okay, the movie's over. The movie's over. Like we can get out of here. But no, that only happens about maybe a little over 2 hours in, and there's still 45 minutes worth of material here, and the movie essentially ends up being a mix of a courtroom drama and also a political thriller, and it's done very well. Like you get tension-filled moments in this movie that just feel like you're hooked in. You get so invested in what's going on, and the writing for this is just really, really good. And the cast in this movie is really good too. Cillian Murphy is fantastic as Robert Oppenheimer. Like you really do believe in his plight. You really do believe in his beliefs. Like he's been accused of being a member of the Communist Party because he is. It's not helping the fact that his wife is also a member of the Communist Party, and he's had an on and off relationship. She's an ex-communist, but he also has an affair with another woman who is a member of the Communist Party, who I did not know was Florence Pugh in this movie. And it's funny because is a good chunk of her scenes, she's naked throughout most of them. And it's cool. Yeah, it's cool to see her. It's like she's naked, but it's cool to see her actually still have a character there. Like she's not just there to be a sex object in this movie. Like she's there to move the plot along. And there's moments in there where, I'm not gonna lie, it does lead to some bizarre, weird edit scenes. Like there's a scene where, like the scene I think a lot of people are going to be talking about with this movie in terms of what the hell was Christopher Nolan thinking, was the scene where Oppenheimer's in this room where he's talking to these different lawyers and these different judges. It's like a closed room briefing, and they're just talking, and they're talking about his relationship with Jean, and out of nowhere, it cuts to him naked. It cuts to Robert Oppenheimer naked. You don't see any his genitals or anything, but he's like sitting there, kind of like the way he's sitting in the hotel room with Jean. And and while that's going on, Emily Blunt, his wife, is imagining this scene where Jean is literally having sex with him while he's talking to these judges. Like they're both naked. They're like she's doing the moves on her, and she's giving her this look, and I'm just like, this is so weird and so bizarre, but at the same time, it's not completely out of the ordinary for this film. Like, that's the weird thing about this movie. They have scenes like this that just seem so off, but at the same time, you kind of agree with where they're going with it. I mean, they're going with the ebb and flow of the movie here, and I gotta give them credit for that. I gotta give them credit for actually doing that, especially when you consider that Christopher Nolan has never shot a sex scene before. This is the first time he's had to work on a film that has sex scenes in it. And you know what? This is not a bad way to do it. Like, you have a moment that is going to be very questionable to a lot of people, but for somebody like me who's just looking at it and going, this is weird, but at the same time, I kind of like how they're basically acknowledging that it is indeed weird to have something like this in there. I got to give them credit for that. I mean, I got to give them credit for going there, and they basically made a moment that's probably going to be remembered for a long period of time after this movie is out. So we talked about the casting in this with Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, and Florence Pugh, but everybody else in the film really is well done. Matt Damon's very good in this film. There were people in here that I could have sworn they were specific people that I didn't know it was actually them. Like Ernest Lawrence. Like, when I saw him on screen, I thought to myself, I think that's Josh Hartnett, but I wasn't really sure. And at the end of the movie, it shows that that was actually Josh Hartnett. I was just like, dude, like, that guy hasn't been around in a long, long time, and what a movie to return to. Like, he really did not look different. Like, his eyes, he really did not look like the same person. His eyes and nose were the same, but I guess because I don't know if it was because of his age or they added some makeup onto him from the nose down, but it looked like a completely different person to me. Casey Affleck, Rami Malek, Kenneth Branagh. A lot of these people don't really have a whole lot to do in this film, but at the same time, they do leave a lasting impact on you. Like, I didn't know that was Tom Conti as Albert Einstein. I thought he did a very good job on that. You know, Alden Ehrenreich, I've talked about this guy in the past. I've really been a fan of his all the way back to Hail Caesar. I liked him in Solo, A Star Wars Story. I thought he was great as Han Solo. And I liked him in Cocaine Bear this year. And, like, I hope this is a return to form for him. I hope this is the film that this is the year where he finally gets back on track after a couple of years where he didn't really have a whole lot to do. Probably the best character in the movie is Robert Downey Jr. as Louis Strauss. I mean, this is a guy that is putting his all into this performance, and really, if he's not handed the Oscar in March for Best Supporting Actor, then the Oscars are just complete BS. Like, there's no reason why this guy should not be getting an Academy Award this fall, like, or this next spring, I should say, or even at that point, because as of the time of recording this, we're still in an actor strike, so we don't know when this is actually going to end, but the Oscars could eventually get pushed back. But I digress. Robert Downey Jr. needs to get an Oscar for this performance. I mean, he really gives it his all in this film. He's just fantastic to watch in the film. He's incredible to watch in the film. He's really, really good. And like I said before, there's a lot of people that you forget were even around. Like, Dane DeHaan hasn't done anything as of recently, as far as I'm concerned. Tony Goldwyn hasn't done a whole lot recently. Neither has Olivia Thirlby. Like there was a point where she was in Dread. That was like over 10 years ago, and then she just kind of disappeared out of nowhere. She didn't really do a whole lot afterwards. But they take a lot of respectable character actors, and then I don't think I mentioned Gary Oldman as Harry Truman. Like, he shows up here for a little bit, and he's really good in the film for the little bit that he's in. Like, I can't remember. Did he play Truman? I'm trying to remember if he played Truman before. I could have sworn he did, but wrong Gary. I'm thinking of Gary Sinise. Gary Sinise played Truman it was like a 1995 TV movie. But like I said, Gary Oldman I thought was really good for the little bit that he was in the film. Yeah, the casting overall in this movie is great. Everybody gives a great, strong performance. The visuals in the film look incredible. This is a film that uses a lot of practical effects and very little CGI. And it begs the question, did they actually use a real bomb? Like, everybody still has that question, did they actually use a real bomb to film this? Which, I don't think they did, but I don't know. They did a pretty good job of making it feel like they actually kind of did. Like, when they build up to this bomb, and you see, like, the little sparks that just show up for no reason, but it actually plays a part to the film, to what happens in the film, like, it fits. Like, it's really well done. The visuals in the movie look really incredible. And again, that has a lot to do with the cinematographer, Hoyt van Hoytema, who's done a lot of great movies and has done a lot of Nolan films recently, starting with Interstellar. And, yeah, he does a great job here. The sound mixing in this movie has got to win some Oscars. I mean, the sound in this movie is just incredible. Like again, if they don't win any sound Oscars for this, like, something is wrong with the Academy Awards. If this movie doesn't get the proper respect it deserves, do I think it'll win Best Picture? I wouldn't be disappointed if it does, because I like the movie that much. I mean, if I had any real complaints about the movie, I would say the weirdness. Oh, actually, before I get to the negatives, there's one more thing I wanted to bring up with the visuals. Like, one of the things that I really took from this movie was how, you see Robert Oppenheimer having these visions of, like, it starts right after they bomb Hiroshima, and he has this big speech for this room with all the people that worked on the bomb, and he says the world and he basically does a speech that it's in the trailers. The world will remember this day, and like, everybody is happy, like, everybody's excited, and then he starts having these hallucinogenic visions of what the bomb is doing to these people. Like, he's walking, like, he starts seeing people with their skin being ripped off, and, like, the after effects of the bomb and all that. Like, he's walking, and he thinks he steps into something, and what he's stepping into is a dead body from the ashes of the person that was there. And, like, you see, like, as he's walking, those cheers start to turn into cries, and, like, people throwing up, and like he's having, like, it's amazing how he's having these thoughts, and they don't really explain it to you, they just show it to you, and they just really need to show it to you without any dialogue to really show you how he's really feeling about the situation. And then when he's in that closed briefing, he's having those same visions again, because, like, he's like he's getting put, like he's like being pushed against the wall, and like you start seeing like the camera shake in the background, like what happens when the Scarecrow, like when the Scarecrow is, with a little bit of irony there, the Scarecrow, when he stings you in Batman, is what he puts in you when Batman Begins, and you have these hallucinogenic visions. Like I like that they put that in there, and I felt like that they really, like, he's really feeling the pressure. Like you feel like he's the anxiety issues, and having this toy boat. He's having this existential crisis, trying to stay calm, cool, and collective, which he really does for for most of the film. Like, he never really snaps at anybody, and it's kind of refreshing to see that. You never have that moment where the guy's like throwing something or throwing something in anger, like it's like, I can't do this type of thing, and yada yada yada. Like, I'm glad that doesn't happen in this movie, but yeah, like, it's just part of why this performance is so very good here. And like, there's just so much I love about this movie. I really do love a lot of aspects about the film. Like I said before, if there's any real negatives I have to the film, I would probably say that there is that weirdness, like that scene I was talking about earlier, which I think it's a fun scene, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and pretend like it's a scene that's warranted in the film. It feels rather unnecessary and out of place, but there are little moments like that. Not a whole lot. There are moments where it just kind of feels like they're there, and sometimes the editing is a little too rushed at times, but like I said, it's never to the point where it really was that distracting to me. I really don't have a ton of flaws with this movie. I think this is a fantastic film. This is an amazing film. It's Christopher Nolan's magnum opus. This is the best thing I think I've ever seen him direct, which says a lot about him as a filmmaker. He's still one of the guys that you always go to, and the studios know, hey, we just got to let this dude do whatever he wants to do, and he's going to deliver. And sure enough, he does it here. And I also like one other thing I'll bring up, like, I do like how the film switches back and forth from black and white to color. Like, the whole subplot about Robert Downey Jr.'s character is all in black and white. His whole thing about getting into the Senate, having the committee hearing, that's all in black and white. And most of the movie is in color. Like, I love the way they balanced it out. It's a very well orchestrated concept there, and it just leads to a really enjoyable film. As I stand up here to try to tell you my final thoughts on here, my final thoughts really on this movie is that it just really is a great movie. It shows how Christopher Nolan can be one of the most trusted filmmakers right now, because you give him the money, he'll deliver a quality movie almost all the time. Like, it's nearly all the time, I should say, because even Interstellar, which like I said is his worst movie, worked for a good majority of it, except for the last third. But I like this movie a lot. I like the movie on a number of levels: the technical level, the storytelling level, the casting level. You could pretty much give the cast of this movie Oscars. Every single person in the cast Oscars for this, which would be impossible to do. But this should be a front runner for Best Picture of the Year, like at the Oscars this year. If it's not, then clearly something is wrong with the Academy Awards, and clearly something is wrong with the Academy Awards overall. But this year was a little bit of an exception. We'll see how that happens in the next year or so. But yeah, needless to say, I really love this movie. I really do love this film. It's my third favorite movie of the year so far. It's a magnum opus. It's a movie that I really love. I really do want to go see this again on the big screen. Go see this on the biggest screen possible. I saw this on Cinemark XD. It was worth seeing it on a big screen. I know there are theaters where you can watch it in 65mm and 70mm format film, in IMAX as well. Whatever you can find it on, go find it on the biggest screen possible. I would have gone to a 70mm screening of this. Unfortunately, the closest one is in King of Prussia, PA, which is on the opposite side of the state. And needless to say, I don't want to drive all the way out there just to see this on 70mm IMAX, which it'd be cool to see, but yeah, I'm not driving all the way out there to see that. But if you are around that area, I'd say go see it on there. Go see this on the biggest screen you can, and you will not be disappointed by that. I give this movie a big thumbs up. Hell, I'll give it another thumbs up. Pay my respects to Siskel and Ebert. 2 thumbs up. What more can I say, man? It's an incredible film. It's never boring. It keeps you invested throughout the course of the film. I love it, man. If you haven't gone to see it already, go and see Oppenheimer. You will not be disappointed by it at all. So there you have it. Probably one of the best weekends of movies we'll have in a long time. Not only do you have 2 really big blockbusters, but 2 really good blockbuster films that could be considered one of the best films of the two of the best films of the year, and these two will surely be very much in contention for the best film of the year. Especially Oppenheimer will be at the top there. Barbie, right now, as I'm looking at the list I have here, it's currently at the bottom of the top 10 at number 8, right behind Super Mario Brothers. But it should be very much in contention for the best movies of the year. I mean, this has been a really, really great weekend of movies. One that I don't think we're going to see for a while now, especially with this actors and writers strike going on and movies getting ready to be pushed back. So, enjoy it. Like, enjoy. If you haven't gone to see these movies already, go and do it. Like, go see these movies on the same day. I mean, this took me back to what I used to do for a long period of time, going to 2 movies on the same day, and it's probably the best theater day I've ever had, honestly, seeing both of these movies on the same day. It's a day that I will never forget. And, yeah, what more can I say? These 2 movies are absolutely incredible, and you need to go out and see them. So, yeah, we did it. That's it for this episode of Talking About the Movies. Now, next week, not especially big compared to this weekend, but we do have Disney's Haunted Mansion, the new remake with Rosario Dawson, Lakeith Stanfield, Danny DeVito, Owen Wilson, Tiffany Haddish, Dan Levy, Jared Leto, and I am definitely looking forward to seeing it, especially since it has to be better than the Eddie Murphy movie. It has to be better, but we'll wait to see what happens. So that'll be next week. But let me know down below. Did you do what I did? Did you go see Barbie and Oppenheimer on the same day? Did you like both movies? Do you consider them the best movies of the year? As always, let me know your thoughts down below. And if you want to go ahead and take a look at some of the other, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit our Reviewing Network live channel as well, where we actually have a trailer review for The Exorcist Believer, which as of now still is yet to be posted online, but you can only see the trailer in theaters with Oppenheimer. So I did a full-length trailer review on that. You click the channel and you'll go over the first thing you see on there. Definitely check that out if you want to see that. And that's it. So with that said, thank you very much for watching. This was a good weekend. This was a ton of fun to do. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.